I'm Tanner Irwin with Purler Wrestling,
Trevor Fagans with Purler College Recruiting Services.
and this is the Super 32 recap.
So we'll start at the top with our 106 pounders. We had two of them in the bracket. We had Cole Blattner and Justin Shutter. Neither one of these guys had the performance they were hoping for, but both of Cole Blattner's losses were very close. Came down to the wire. He was right in there with both of the kids. So Cole just needs to get a little bit bigger, maybe put on a few pounds of muscle, and he'll be right there with the best kids. And then as far as Shutter goes, he's very good at putting people on their back. He had a fall in the tournament, and I'm expecting a nice freshman season for him. So moving on to 113, one of my recruiting center kids, Cannon Acklin, Oklahoma boy. He's a two-time Oklahoma State champ. He went 4-2, and he had a nice tournament. He beat the Minnesota State champ, and he beat an Iowa State runner-up. And both of his losses were razor thin, so he was right there, and I'm looking for Cannon to have a pretty big season this year.
And also at 113, we had Drew Davis and Caden Purler. Drew went 3-2, and so did Caden. They both had pretty good performances and some big wins. Drew had a big win over an Illinois State placer, Rhode Island State champ, and a North Carolina State placer. Drew's very, very slick and can score on with just about anything.
He's tough on top.
Yeah, he's good on top. Good athlete, and Drew is uncommitted right now. Next up, Caden. Caden had a big win over multiple-time Florida State champ. He had a big win over a New Jersey State qualifier, North Carolina State placer, and he had a tough loss to a top 15 kid in America. Caden is, when I say this, he is one of the best kids on top in America. He has a very unique style of riding and turns that he's kind of developed into his own. And Caden's well on his way to become one of the best wrestlers in the country.
Moving on to 120, we had three of them. Starting at the top, we had actually two kids from the same high school, believe it or not. Joshua Amon. Josh is he's a Whitfield kid. He was fourth last year in the state in Class 3. He didn't have the performance he was hoping for, but both of his losses, he was right there. He actually had the lead, I think, in both of his matches. So he was right there with both of the kids. We just got to get better in a few positions here and there. Porter Matecki, another Whitfield kid. He went 6-2 and made the blood round. Both of his losses were to the Cadet World Silver medalist, so nothing to be ashamed about there. But he lost 12-4 in the round of 32, and then lost 9-6 to the same kid in the blood round. So he closed the gap significantly. But along the way, he beat a kid that was third in Fargo, beat a two-time Indiana State champ, beat a California State placer, beat a New York State placer, and beat an Iowa State placer. So he's beating and competing the best kids in America, which is the key. And then our last 120-pounder, we had Ryan Meek. Ryan went 2-2, probably not the performance that he was expecting, but again, he had a couple nice wins over a New York State placer and a North Carolina State placer. And Ryan actually recently just signed to wrestle at Ohio University, so a good pickup for them and a good fit for Ryan too. So I'm excited for his senior year and look forward to watching him at the next level. Oh, and then Drew Madison. Drew was at 126, and Drew really started turning the corner this year. Last year he was a Missouri State qualifier in 2022, but over the past 6 months or so, he has really hit a new level, and he didn't have the performance he was probably hoping for, but he lost in overtime to the Florida State champ. So again, we're right there with these kids. We just gotta make some adjustments, and we'll be winning a lot of these tight matches. Again, a couple of recruiting center kids. Josh Hannon at 132. Josh was a California State qualifier this past year. He's been to our camp, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. Great kid. He's really matured over the past few years in a good way. He didn't have the tournament that he probably thought he would, but he did have a nice win over a Georgia State placer. And I'm really looking for Josh to use his performance as kind of a kickstart for the season. I'm expecting big things from him. And then at 138, we had Keaton Young. Keaton's a Colorado kid. He's been to many camps over the years. His little brother's got a sweet mullet. But Keaton went 2-2, and he had a nice win over the Georgia State champ. He actually had a medical forfeit out of the tournament, unfortunately. So he really went 2-1, but just the way things go. But I'm looking for Keaton to have a good senior year.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Colin Arch. Colin Arch is a 3-time Missouri State champ, undefeated in high school. And this was a very, very good tournament for him, and he's actually recently committed to Northern Illinois University, and a fantastic pickup. He's going to join his brother Ross up there, and it would be cool to see the brothers in the lineup together doing some damage. But Colin went 6-2 and finished with a 5th place finish. He had ranked wins over number 5 guy. He had a big win over the guy who placed 7th at the tournament. Colin can beat anybody in the country. He's very explosive, freak athlete, doesn't give up dumb points, can score in about any way you can think about. He gets off bottom. He rides like a college guy. He's very gritty on top. He's just kind of a freak of nature athlete, right? He's one of a million wrestlers. All right, next up we got Dave Cross. Dave Cross is a Mizzou commit, 3-time Missouri State placer.
His dad wrestled at Mizzou too.
Yeah, he's
that's pretty cool.
Following his father's footsteps at Mizzou. So Tiger style for Dave and their family. Dave went 4-2 and made the round of 16. Both his losses he had were 1 or 2 points. They were very, very close. And I may be biased a little bit because he's one of our kids, but there were some questionable calls throughout the match that maybe if they went our way, we were on the other side of that. Mm-hmm. Dave is very, very skilled on his feet. He's very slick. He can score both sides.
A lot of ways to score.
He's very versatile on his feet, and he can ride like no other. He's one of those kids that I think is going to excel at the college level, and I think his ceiling is extremely high.
I agree.
Yeah.
Moving on, Gavin Linsman. Gavin was also at 138. He went 4-2 and made the blood round. He won his first, I think, 4 matches.
Yeah.
He had a win over the kid that ended up taking 6th, who was signed to Michigan. He had a 6-5 win over the 2-time Oklahoma State champ kid signed to Wyoming, and he had a 4-3 win over the kid that is signed to American University. So he beat 3 D1 kids all on the same day, which is not something that very many people can say. And then both of his losses, he lost 8-4 to the kid that took 3rd, and he lost 3-1 to the kid that took 4th. So I mean, he was right there with the best kids in the country. It was a good performance by Gavin. He just always seems to find himself in the match. He's never out of it. So it was a good tournament by Gavin. And then our last 38-pounder, we had Carter McAllister, the man that they call Curry. He went 7-2 and took 7th. He another Mizzou kid. Him and Dave are going to be teammates, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But Carter had wins over the kid that finished 8th, obviously. Had a 4-2 win over the Pennsylvania State champ. Had a 7-2 win over a kid that went 5-2 at Super 32. So the kid had a pretty good tournament himself. And then he had a 3-0 win over the Minnesota State 3rd. So he beat, again, some of the best kids in the country. It was a good tournament by Carter. Again, he's just one of those kids that you can never count him out just because he's going to wrestle hard whistle to whistle.
Yeah, Carter has a big personality, and he takes it onto the mat, and he's very entertaining to watch. And like Trevor says, he can beat anybody, and he's a very dangerous wrestler.
Moving on to 145, we had Gavin Carpenter. Gavin went 5-2, and 3 of his wins were by first period fall. So he very good at putting people on their back and finding ways to finish the match early. One of his falls was over a kid that was 4th in New Jersey. Another fall over USA Nationals All-American. And then his last match of the tournament, he lost 8-4 to the kid that took 8th. So he was, again, right there with one of the best kids in the country. So it was a good performance by Gavin. And he actually is he just signed to Northern Illinois, so him and Colin Arch will be teammates next year, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool to see when our guys get to be teammates, in college. Like, they've been training together for a long time in our academy, and they go to different high schools, but it's cool to see them when they get to come together at the next level. All right, next up we have Bryce Griffin. Bryce went 4-2, and I think Bryce exceeded his own expectations. He's in our eyes, we've known him since he's a little kid, but he's a very powerful, very explosive wrestler, and he can put a lot of points up on the board. He can throw anybody, he can turn anybody, he can get off bottom. He has all the tools to be very successful, and I think this tournament is going to really help give him that confidence to really make him jump to the next level. And Bryce will be chasing the Illinois State title this year. I think he got third last year or fourth.
I can't remember. He got third one year and fourth one year.
Yeah, so,
as a freshman and sophomore.
Yeah,
I can't remember which one was which, but
two-time Illinois State placer already. But like I said, I think this tournament was a huge building block to get him to the next level.
And sticking at 145, Andrew Manley. He's one of our academy kids. He's from down in Southwest Missouri. He went 2-2. Andrew was, I think, fourth last year in the state, if I'm not mistaken, third or fourth. But he went 2-2. He had himself a nice tournament. Again, he's just one of those kids that he'll just wrestle hard, whistle to whistle, and that right there gives you a chance to be in the match. So it was a good tournament by Andrew. I was impressed with what I saw from him. And then our last 145, Rome Tate, another Whitfield kid. Rome had the unfortunate pleasure of wrestling the kid that took third, I think first round. So not the best draw, but he rebounded nice with a nice win following that tough loss. Again, Rome's a great athlete. He'll wrestle hard the whole time, and we just got to clean a few things up, and I think he'll be right there with some of the best kids.
Next up is Zach Rackers. Zach's actually been hurt the last 2 years, and the last 6 months or so, it seems like he's lived in the weight room. He's very built, strong, athletic kid, and his hard work is finally showing. He's getting the chance to be healthy and be on the mat. Zach went 3-2. He had a good win over a Pennsylvania blood round finisher, so the kid almost medaled in Pennsylvania. And then he had an 8-7 win over a Georgia State champ. Both his losses were very, very close. He had a 1-point loss to an Iowa State placer, and then 8-4 loss to an Ohio State placer. But like I said, this is going to be Zach's year. He's put in the work, and his body's healthy now, and it's just he's a great kid, and I know he's going to be successful. Next up, we got Sam Richardson. Sam went 2-2, and both his losses he was winning early on in the match, and then a mistake here and there kind of cost him. But Sam can keep it close with anybody, and he has a very unique style that you can't develop a feel for it. It's if you watched him wrestle, you would understand. But he has his own style, and he's very, very good at it. And I think Sam has a very high ceiling in the sport of wrestling. This tournament may have not been the performance he wanted, but like I said, they were very close matches, the matches he lost, and he knows he made the mistake. So,
and he did have a nice win, 6-4 win over an Arizona kid, Valiant Prep, great program. They're doing an awesome job down there. But that Arizona kid was third at the Chicago Premier National League. So, obviously a new event, but very tough. So that was a good win for Sam. And then sticking at 152, Brock Woodcock. Brock went 5-2 and made the blood round, and he lost 8. Both of his losses were by 8-2. He lost to the champ, and then he lost to the kid that took 5th. So right there with both of the two of the top kids in the country, and he had some nice wins along the way. He had a 7-2 win over a New Jersey State placer. And then he had a fall over an Iowa State placer, and he had a 14-0 over a South Carolina State champ. So again, we're beating some of the best kids in the country. We just got to find a way to close the gap with the kid that was the champ and the 5th, and find a way to win those tough ones. Yeah.
Brock is phenomenal on top. He puts up a lot of points, and if you watch his matches, it's fall, tech, major. Right? He scores a lot of points. He doesn't give up many. He's two-time state champ already. He's actually committed to where Trevor graduated from, SIUE. And I'm expecting SIUE to have a tremendous next 4 or 5 years. They've been recruiting a lot of our kids as of late, and I think that they're about to turn around and put their name on the map.
Okay, moving on to 170. We had 3 of these 170s. First up, we have Chance Cole. Man, Chance is he's been hurt for I think the past 2 seasons. I know he's only wrestled 1 state tournament, so and that was his freshman season. So, but Chance went 2-2. He had a nice win over the kid that was 3rd in Florida. But Chance is just one of those kids, kind of like you talked about with Zach Rackers, just loves the weight room. He's a very strong and powerful kid. And again, one of the hardest workers that we have in our program, and just does things the right way.
Next up at 170, we had Owen Uppinghouse. To be honest, I think Owen had a fantastic performance and exceeded expectations tremendously. He had big win over Georgia State champ, a Virginia State placer, and a California State placer, right? So maybe on paper, you wouldn't think he would win those matches, but he pulls them out, right? He doesn't stop wrestling. He believes in himself, and he's a fantastic leg rider. So when you're dominant on top like that, you can really keep it close with about anybody.
Moving on, our last 170 pounder, Abe, and I always struggled to say the last name, but I think I finally got it. Wojciechowicz.
Yeah.
Abe went 4-3, made the semis. He had some nice wins. Obviously, anytime you take 6th, you're gonna have some nice wins, but he had a 5-1 win over the kid that was 7th in the tournament, a 6-4 win over the kid that was 8th in the tournament, a 1-0 win over Tennessee State champ, 9-1 win over Indiana State 5th, and his losses were to the champ, the kid that took 4th, and the kid that took 5th. So obviously Abe's right there with the best kids in the country, just like we knew he was. But he's signed to Stanford, and yeah, we're very excited about Abe, and I mean, what's not to love about a kid that is going to Stanford, obviously. So just does things the right way.
Yeah, Abe's one of those kids that he lets his work do the talking, right? Very quiet in the room, very, very focused and hardworking, right? You can trust him to do anything.
So then, just finishing up, I had 3 college recruiting center kids that I just wanted to give mention of. Mason Christian was at 195 and went 2-2. He had a nice win over the Colorado State 3rd. That was by fall. Mason has been to our camp, I think, for about 3 years now. He's just one of those kids that you just like being around. He's got a great personality, kind of quiet, but still kind of lighthearted. Just a good kid to have around. He actually recently just committed to Western Liberty University, so that's a good pickup for them. And then moving on to heavyweight, we had 2 heavyweights. Caleb Beatty, he went 2-2. He came to our camp a few years ago. Great kid, hard worker. He went 2-2, and one of his losses was 4-2 to the kid that took 3rd in the tournament. So obviously he's right there, and he actually just signed with American University. So it's a great fit for him and a good pickup for that program. And then lastly, our last high school boy, Dirk Morley. Dirk he came to our 28-day camp this year and just really stuck out in a good way. He's built like a freaking tank, and just one of those kids that you almost have to tell him to just take the day off. You're like, Dirk, you're freaking gonna work yourself into the ground. But he went 3-3 and finished 6th in the tournament. He had a 4-2 win over the kid that took 8th, and Dirk is currently uncommitted and is getting recruited by some of the greatest educations in the country: Duke, Northwestern, Air Force Academy. I could go on and on, but he's a great kid, and I'm looking for Dirk to have a good senior year, and then obviously he'll succeed in whatever he does.
2 girls go out there and wrestle in Greensboro at Super 32. First up, Kendra Bliss. Kendra's actually, after this tournament, ranked 30th in the nation. So she had a very, very good tournament, and I think she surprised herself to where the level she's at, right? She's made tremendous improvements from year to year, and she's a very, very dedicated wrestler, right? Like Trevor said earlier, she's a student of the sport.
Yeah, she's always asking you questions about technique.
Always.
And this, that, and the other.
Yeah, she just soaks up the information. She's a great kid, and we're very happy she's a part of our program. Our other girl we had, Mackenzie Pratt. Mackenzie's ranked number 11th in the nation now after this, and Mackenzie had a pretty wild tournament. She actually had to forfeit out of her first match during the break because she hurt her shoulder. So we went to the trainers, and he kind of patched her up, got her fixed up, and we had a pep talk, and she went back out there and rattled off 4 wins in a row and made the blood round. And in the blood round, she was up 6-0 at one point to the number 1 girl in the nation, and kind of made a mistake here and there, ended up dropping that match. But like I said, she came back from an injury first round, won 4 in a row against some very good girls. I think a West Virginia State placer and a Georgia State champ. So definitely a very, very good performance by Mackenzie.
And then moving on, we'll make mention of our middle school and elementary school kids. Middle school kids, we had 3 of them go out there. EJ Flash Woody, he was at 85 pounds, probably should have been at 80 pounds, but he was, what was he, second at Tulsa Nationals last year.
Illinois State champ.
Yeah, he's done it all. But like I said, he probably should have been at 80. 85 was not the ideal weight class for him, and it kind of showed in his performance. He didn't have the tournament that he or we were expecting of him. So I think if we get him down to the right weight class, I think he would done pretty well out there. And then moving on, Knox for base. Knox was he didn't have the tournament he probably expected, but one of his matches I was coaching, we gave up a reversal right at the end of the period and ended up losing by a point. So again, we're right there. We just got to find a way to win these close matches, and we got to just continue to do the little things right.
Yeah, and Knox actually last couple weekends ago won preseason nationals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So Super 32 may not have been the performance he wanted, but obviously he showed that he learned from it, and he went out to preseason and frankly dominated. Right, he won the whole bracket, and a really, really big tournament for him. And Knox is a great kid, and he does the work, and it's showing.
And lastly, Jason Shutter. Again, I think if we just get him to clean up some things here and there, fix a few positions, I think his tournament would have looked a lot differently. So I think that he'll use this tournament as fuel for a good season. And then moving on, I'll let you handle the elementary school kids.
All right, guys. So for our elementary school, we had Bo Brown. He went 1-2 at heavyweight, but ended up having a very big win in the one that he did have and got 4th place. So that's a great tournament for him. Liam King went out there, and he Missouri State champ. Really, really good, tough wrestler. I think he was a little undersized and younger.
Well, he only weighs 50, and he wrestled 55.
Yeah, so definitely undersized and younger than the competition, but went 1-2, and the one win he had was pretty solid. And he actually redeemed this last weekend. I don't remember the kid's name, but he redeemed one of his losses this last weekend to a kid that beat him at Super 32. So I mean, that's always good to see when you can go back after a loss, make adjustments, and go get that match back, right? That's great to see.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.